I'm going to start the show with that. I'm going to start the show with that today. There's an old adage. Struggling couples often have a baby to save a marriage, or they buy a house to save a marriage, and it doesn't work. The marriage was in trouble. DK Metcalf to the Steelers for $150 million in 5 years. That's buying a house to save the marriage. The Steelers can't get the offensive line right. They can't get quarterback right. They spend too much money on defense, defensive culture. 25th in rushing average, 25th in the NFL. So let's throw a Hail Mary to save our offense. What's ironic is the one position that the Steelers draft and develop exceedingly well on offense is wide receiver. They've been great at it for 20 years. Go back to Hines Ward. They always draft and develop wide receiver. So why spend $150 million on it? And the Steelers thinking they can solve their offensive issues, which have been awful, not only since Big Ben retired, but about the last 2 years of Big Ben, thinking you can solve your offense by adding another expensive, high-maintenance wide receiver is like thinking you can solve your car troubles by putting in some premium leather seating. Yeah, that ain't it, man. George Pickens and DK Metcalf? Okay, you know how A.J. Brown was reading a book on the sidelines? In Pittsburgh, they need a library card. I mean, these guys want the ball now. I mean, oh, yeah, there's another rumor out there with the Steelers. Aaron Rodgers is talking to him. Good hell. What are you trying to be? A rock band that trashes the hotel room? I said this last week. DK Metcalf with a very solid quarterback in Geno Smith. Geno's a very solid quarterback. I'll get to him later. He only accounted for 35 first down catches. Okay, that's half of Amon-Ra St. Brown. And the Steelers are not very solid at quarterback. They've been experimenting, it feels like, for the last 5 or 6 years. So I am not player hating. I'm situation hating. If you went to a team like DK Metcalf went to Kansas City, where they've kind of struggled. I mean, Rashee Rice is good but in trouble. Xavier Worthy, good but in trouble. They've had several misses. You go DK Metcalf to Kansas City in that strong culture offensively, you could talk me into it. How about Houston and C.J. Stroud? You could talk me into it. But Pittsburgh doesn't know offense, doesn't have a feel for it. They're not good at quarterback. They're not good on the offensive line. I mean, again, this is a team the last 2 seasons that has been Pittsburgh 31st in pass attempts.
Yeah. So DK Metcalf would be great everywhere except the Pittsburgh Steelers. Got it. Listen, I understand what Colin is getting at, and some of the things that he's saying, you know, there's truth to it for sure. And, you know, listen, I think this is a great move, but it has to be just one of many moves for the Pittsburgh Steelers. This has to just be one of the pieces along the way of rebuilding this Steelers offense specifically. Whether there's still more moves to be made, you know, in free agency, in the draft. Like, I actually made a video, and this would be pretty funny if it ends up happening. I think it posted on Thursday or Friday, you know, sometime last week, and I was like, they should go out and get DK Metcalf and Sam Darnold. You do that, you're revamping this, right? And then again, you know, either continue in free agency. I don't know who's necessarily available from an O-line perspective, or you know, in the draft, whatever it may be, and kind of go from there, right? Like this, if this is just kind of the move they make, and then they just kind of you know, keep Russ or Justin Fields or Aaron Rodgers for that matter, and then they go off and, you know, I don't know, draft a couple defensive players or something, then I would be like, okay, you know, what are we doing here? But also, like I said in my, because Colin said this whole thing about first downs again with DK Metcalf, and it's just like, dude, that's more like on the offensive coordinator than DK Metcalf himself. If you want to set up plays for him to be able to like get these first downs, you know, again, that's on the OC. That's not against DK. So I'm like still a little confused by him emphasizing that. I don't really understand that necessarily, why he's trying to use that as a way to kind of be like, Amon-Ra St. Brown has double the first down catches, and it's like, all right, but that's on the coordinator. That's not something magical about Amon-Ra St. Brown. Like, I don't get that take, quite frankly. I mean, if you do, let me know, because I just can't. I just don't understand why he's only ever said that about DK Metcalf, no one else. So I don't understand. I don't like I said, I don't know where that necessarily came from. But listen, I don't think you get a DK and then now he just completely turns around the Steelers offense. This is one of those things where it kind of feels like damned if you do, damned if you don't, because you get him and you get another weapon, and you pay a chunk of change for DK Metcalf. There's no doubt about it. Or if you had the team where you were a little bit more savvy or something, and you got a Devontae Adams for less money, or Debo or something, right? Then people would say, yeah, Devontae's going to change your offense. Debo, washed up Debo's going to change your offense, right? It kind of feels like no matter what you do, people are really going to complain. And again, I do agree that they need to solidify the O-line, the run game. Like, there's other things that they also need to do, which is why I'm not like, oh yeah, man, you bring in DK Metcalf, this completely transforms the offense. I do think it changes it. And again, if you have a smart enough offensive coordinator, then this should open up a lot of things. I think it makes you significantly more competitive against the Kansas City Chiefs in that game, against the Ravens, against the Eagles. I think all of those things matter, which is why then it does make you feel like, all right, I would feel a little bit better if you run it back with Russ and you have DK. But again, it still has to be one of many other steps, still want to be able to find a way how to get this O-line going and get a more consistent, dare I say, dominant run game, right? A run game that is actually like, if you're playing the Pittsburgh Steelers, they're going to beat you up on defense and they're going to beat you up in the trenches in the run game, and then use all this other stuff as extra, especially if you're going to have a Russell Wilson as your quarterback or an Aaron Rodgers for your quarterback. So it all depends on what the actual plan is. You can't denounce a move like this until we actually know what the Steelers' plan is. This has to just be step one in a list of like 10 other steps. If it's not, then sure. Then just be like, Steelers, you can't just get DK Metcalf and expect everything to change. You're not going to just get DK and then now suddenly beat the Ravens in the playoffs. When I said against the Ravens, I was thinking more regular season than playoffs, because that playoff game there was nothing going on. I don't think you get a DK Metcalf and you're now going to beat them in the playoffs like that. That playoff game was kind of a mess from the jump, quite frankly. I was thinking more of during the regular season. When they lost the one game, when Russ fumbled at like the 2-yard line, 3-yard line when he went on a big run, and then I think Russ also then threw an interception near the end of the game as well. I think Lamar Jackson also threw an interception. That was also kind of a crazy game. But yeah, I'm excited to see this unfold, because at least they're making moves. At least they're being aggressive. So it's just funny with the Steelers. Colin keeps saying, oh, they don't, offense, they're a mess offensive, they're a mess offense, they're the they spend the least amount of money on offense than any other team, and they like lead in defensive spending, and now they go out and make a big offensive spend, and it's just like, this isn't good, this isn't right. And it's like, then what did you want them to do? Spend $200 million on insert quarterback here, insert O-line here? Like, what would then make you 100% happy? Again, if this is just the one main move that they make, sure, I understand that, but it's March 10th. It's literally March 10th. So I think it's a good move, as long as it's a step in a few other moves. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Pittsburgh Steelers acquiring DK Metcalf? Do you think this is a big swing and a miss for them, like Colin is saying? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here and absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.